was a mud flat, you know, a natural cleaning basin for the time. A lot of silt would come up the river and it would get caught there. Jarrow's Lake. Jarrow SLAKE. We don't say SLAKE, we say SLAKE. Same muddy waters Bede looked across. The same muddy waters the Romans looked across. That bit hasn't changed for centuries. And so only when the only commercial use it was ever used for was maturing timber.
Did you rock the timbers or whatever
well,
it was? What
there
happened?
were piles, wooden piles.
Right.
Driven right through the mud to a solid base, sticking out of the water about 12, 15 feet. They were exactly measured. They were precision set in straight lines. So when they brought the timbers in for seasoning, they were like rafts of booms, what you call booms, tied to the posts. So that the guy who's caretaker of the Museum of Timbers can count them. He can count the posts and he knows how much timber he's got. The main use of it was for seasoning timber, for making patterns. The steel industry, for making moulds and making cogwheels and engines and things like that. That's what all pipes, all kinds of parts for a steel ship.
What was your first meeting with the SLAKE? You know, what do you remember?
Oh God, as a child.
What did you do then?
It was like an adventure playground. Fantastic adventure playground. When it was dangerous, you see, that was one good thing. You took risks. That made it very exciting. I mean, you could slip into the mud and disappear. I fell in. I mean, I slipped in. Was sucked under because the current's pretty strong in and out of that estuary, and I just went down. Oh, that saying that you see a whole life flash before you. Well, I was only 11. So there wasn't much of my past life, but I saw me coming life. I saw the future instead of the past. It was horrific. I really became unconscious, and I remember shouting underwater. And it's very beautiful tasting water. I didn't believe that I was alive, you know, I just felt that it was a dream, that I'd actually gone, you know.
When I first came up here around about 15 years ago, in fact, I remember the SLAKE, and of course it's all gone now. But I think it's one of the biggest tragedies, because I think it is a very, very, you know, attractive place, you know, all the posts, like, you know, very artistic, you know. It was like a giant piece of sculpture, you know. No, I sort of like the place, but it's gone.
It's gone, but Vince brings it back
to life, indeed.
That one there, the top fish one, with the colours coming off it.
Oh, that's nice idea.
Yes, very nice.
There's no answer to that. I haven't actually had a look at anything yet, except I think that looks terrific on the end of all that. I have vulgar tastes. I've always been known for my vulgar tastes.
Everybody.
It goes with liking Tom and Jerry and all that stuff, you know.
What? Well, as a matter of fact, my favourite moments really are what I saw in 1972. It's been very nice to see all the stuff that was on with the Joblin thing. And I prefer Vince's black and white work to his coloured work.
It's very good, it's very interesting.
You mean, isn't it excellent?
Yes, excellent. I tend to underestimate things.
I'm
started doing photography at college and particularly interested in the photographs. Right. And I find a lot of them great. And I think they might be shot on a 35mm camera, but they're much better on a larger camera.
Which one do you like?
That one.
It takes something like 1 million years for a thing like that to build up. Taking about a year to destroy it.
So it's a very nice space, this.
A safe habitat, so whether the slake is eventually developed, there'll be still a little corner that is for the birds.
That's the last post.
...1920s, and my Aunt Olive made these and sold them for 2 and 6, you know. I mean, just like, you know, lots of people did it as a hobby, as paint and for coloured foil. See, the red is paint there, and the white is paint, the black is paint, you know.
It is.
We call them colours, isn't it?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, it's very modern. Look at the way she's done the funnel and everything.
I know,
the
it's Matisse,
smoke.
isn't it?
Yep.
You've got to go through the process, you know, like I did with the turner.
Right.
For to find out and learn something from it. Because you see these all over the place, you know.
Johnny was, you know, used to drive the wagon for the local authority. Canvas rolled into his arms, or, you know, this canvas painting. And
Is this your first encounter then, Jodie, with painting, or had you painted before that? I mean, were you painting as a hobby? Right, so that's why you kept this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Salvaged it, yeah. Otherwise it'd been gone. I'd like to mention again, you know, it's only a copy, you know.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to give people impression of, you know, doing a work of art or anything, you know.
Right. When you say only a copy, I mean, you know, you think that was, you know, like copies have been degenerate, I think, by people, you know. I think the skill you've shown, you know, and the techniques is wonderful. And you've learned such a lot, you know, you've learned a lot about Turner, haven't you, whilst you've done it.
Yeah. The glazes and, you know, the whole procedure, what he's, how he did it. That's the Prussian blue.
Wonderful.
And a lot of this is Naples yellow, glaze on top of the blue, you see. That's how he ended up with the blue, yeah, the green, bluey green.
That was the Jarrow stairs, which is there. Turner sat out there. And his painting is this part of the time. This is the widest part of the time. This is a swing area where they swing all the big ships today. Well, that started from about 1850 onwards. They started to do all that.
Brilliant. And when did Turner do his painting about?
1835. You know, going back, what, 150 years of which I've lived 50 of them. So it's not so long ago, really, when you think about it. It's kind of locked in this time period that to try and capture the essence of it, to try and make it more immediately real, one has to revert to one's imagination, one's thoughts, how you think. I mean, Bede even further back. Very difficult to grasp what he was thinking, the kind of guy he was. I mean, the image we have in our minds is a Victorian one.
What's your image?
Well, I think he was an extremely generous. I think his image is an image of love. Has to be, because it wouldn't have lasted so long. What I've tried to do in this small museum is to cram 1,500 years of Jarrow history into a little box, so that you can, you know, you've got the whole lot all tied up there. You can actually travel now, you know. Real things. For example, this real sign was actually in the railway station when dignitaries arrived from London during Palmer's shipyard time and met Palmer. That sign has seen all that. It was there when the Jarrow marchers arrived. You know that sign? So there is a real historic object. I think they've been used, you know, by, but maybe that's what it's for, I don't know. I mean, you know, some guy invents an idea, somebody does something, and then everybody uses it. I suppose that's what it is. I remember a fellow coming from The Guardian, an intellectual socialist, you know, and he had this idea of meeting revolutionaries, the original Jarrow marchers, you know. Bobby's house, where you don't have to, we goes to Bobby's house where you don't have to knock on Bobby Moon's. I mean, you don't have to say, ring him up or make an appointment, just knock on the door and he just lets you in. Well, apparently at that time he was celebrating one of his grandchildren's wedding, and I think the celebration had been going on for 2 days, you know. Mm-hmm. By the time we arrived, you know, the majority of people were plastered, you know. And we went into the house, and this guy was a bit frightened, you know, at first. And we sat down and I introduced him. Bobby, very open and straight to the point, you know. Bobby started kind of talking about the problems in, you know, society. And one of the things he said, you know, he says, I think our biggest problem was we should, I can't remember the exact words, but he said, we should never give away the empire and give women the vote, you know. And he this fellow, so serious about things like that, really took it quite seriously, you know. And he thought, crikey, you know, I mean, it just freaked him out completely. He didn't know how to respond to it. Now, the first golden age, of course, is bead, and this is bead, muffled, clamped shut. When I was a kid, when I used to talk about bondage, I used to think of bandage. And the mummies, you know, the mummies were in bondage or in bandage. But anyway, I mean, the whole, I just feel that in a way his real full message never really gets across, you know. I mean, they wouldn't even do a stamp on him, you know.
Yes.
When they were doing the stamps on great men, you know. I mean, I thought that was a bit mean, you know, because he is a great visionary.
Yep.
And of course the gold has now gone into illuminated manuscripts. He's really in a high spiritual plane now, you know. He must be way up there, you know. Chips of pewter. And it's painted. You paint on the other side of this this material here. I don't know. It's like a soft glass, you know. You can bend it, and it's painted, and then you put the bits of chippings, pewter chippings, and if you cover it, it glows for it keeps its like sort of sparkle, you know. You see on this one, you see it's gone all dull because it's not covered.
Oh, I see. It's extraordinary. Why the horse?
Symbol of spirit, or you know that it might be the dog, you know. He always gets in on the act, you know. Seed stealer always gets the best place. The Golden Dawn Vault. What you did, you translated all your message, what message you were going to find out about. You know, you wanted an answer to your question. Translated it into Enochian script, which is a very it's a very sort of decorative script, you know. And you place the letters on the pyramid, and then you go into a trance, you know, and you communicate, and then you get the message. You've got to dance around with flowers and things like that. You've got things moving.
Yeah,
I mean, Yeats was very much involved with this, and he was scared off, you know, because I think you conjure up things in the imagination that you did get out of control. I mean, nobody really knows what this thing is, you know. Man's been trying to answer the mystery of life since the beginning of time, you know. I don't think we're supposed to know if there is any. I mean, there could very well be nothing. And if you're sitting there saying, well, there's nothing, that means there must be something. I really don't. I mean, my interest was purely in terms of the artists that were involved, and how they involved it's like a performance sculpture. I mean, there's not a guy I know who's got working class values and virtues at heart more than Laurie Short. I mean, he really believes in them. You know, have a 30-foot road, 10 foot wide, and he was going to do it in concrete on wasteland, and he was putting boots, scarves, mufflers, caps, anything that people have for work, into the concrete, right? And then when it's set, he sort of chops it up into stones, breaks it up, and then builds a tower out of it. But it's like a metamorphosis thing. They've just and he thinks they've just been sold out for 60 years since 26 strike, the Jarrow March, and even now it's like all a big, different political people have come and gone, Cultures and civic leaders turn their back and refuse to look at new ways of seeing and doing things. Well, then everybody suffers. Happened and they come back, they kind of. This is an interesting. Well, I think it's an old idea. Comes from Van Gogh, or probably originally Rembrandt. The boots.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Van Gogh was that his boots were the first boots in history to look as though they'd had feet in them. Before that, they painted them as though they were brand new. But and so he obviously following in that tradition. And I think boots were a very important thing on the Jarrow March.
What size?
I don't know, that could be a 14. I don't know what size Ken takes.
Yes, boots are a
He never falls down. If you push him, he springs back.
His statement was, our dreams go marching on.
Yeah.
technician. I think you must be a technician first. Yes. You must understand what you're going, what's going to be
Was your mother? Because it was, I mean, so much of it was what you, working out what you could do with what. I mean, just going over the possible and impose the discipline of the camera and the movements and so on onto, and
But
I remember that little woman.
I bet.
Very pleasant.
Yes, because she was small, wasn't she?
Tiny,
yes.
really tiny.
Excuse me, Paul, would you autograph these catalogues on your page? This one's
Vince told them that they're going to be worth something in 50 years. You see, with all these signatures. Hat to yours. Many thanks.
It's a pleasure. We're all in focus now. Great. Impressions of a family.
Yay!
Jarrow is a reality.
Finally a reality, yes. I haven't seen the video yet. Will I get a chance?
Just happened in the house, lady. Just happened once in the house. That was all it said. Oh, well. Give away my old one.
Good grief.
How many pounds? 12?
Yeah, 12 pounds. This is the quarter of the size. This is it's called the arrival in London of the martyrs. It's still wet. It's comparable to Picasso's Guernica.